Hey, what's going on, guys? Long time no Mook. Today we're taking a look at the Model Graphix Gundam Archive Plus edition here for Amuro Ray mobile suits. This is an Amuro Ray U.C.0079-0093 special edition of the Gundam Model Graphix Gundam Archives Plus. As you can see here on the back as well, they're featuring the new Gundam. So this is all just model kits. Custom-made model kits, custom-built and painted model kits. For the most part, there is some in here in the middle that is just talking about like just the model kits like from Bandai, unpainted ones, just kind of a feature showing the different versions of the RX-782 that have come out over the years. But the rest of this is all painted kits, and it's awesome. I love these Model Graphix magazines or Mooks. Always a lot of great stuff in here. And list price for this was 3,800 yen, so around $35, give or take, your conversion of that, but not that cheap, considering that it's basically like the thickness of a magazine. But the great thing about this compared to like a monthly magazine is that you don't have all the extra filler and stuff in there, which is just advertisements for new kits and new figures and all sorts of different stuff in there. So you have all the good stuff minus all the advertisements, so that's great. Alright, anyway, we have a cover for this. The actual book cover is just in blue, I suppose makes sense. And on the inside cover here is some advertisements for some other different model Gundam archives. Very nice ones there. On our index page here, this is going to go backwards, of course, Japanese style. There is the new Gundam, and there's modeler credits for all of these, but of course everything's all in Japanese in this book, and that includes all the modelers' names, unless it's Naoki. If it's Naoki, they have it in English, and then I know it's Naoki, but otherwise, I don't know any of the modelers' names, at least like the kanji for their names. So like some of these, if it's like Ken16W, like I recognize like their Twitter handles, but I don't know their actual names. Anyway, so I can't credit everyone, so if you guys see a particular build in here, that's very cool, and you know who it's by, and you know their name, like the English spelling of their name, you can drop that in the comments for me and anyone else who's interested. But this new Gundam does look very nice and very subtle weathering on there. Seems like about the first half of this is just all dedicated to the RX-782, which makes sense. That's, when you think of Amuro Ray mobile suits, that's the number one thing you're gonna think of course. Over here they got the different versions of the MG going from the original MG, 1.5, 2.0, 3.0, and the Origins version, leaving out the Verka, because I guess that's a separate thing, sort of. But this would be of the Origins version, but done up in the original color scheme, so not as the Origins version, but it's the Origins version of the model, which I think is probably my personal favorite. A lot of people ask which is the best version of the MG RX-782, is the 3.0 or the Origins. They're both the best for different reasons. For me personally, I prefer the Origins version just design-wise, but detail and complexity and the fact that you have the core fighter included, also like if you're a fan of like RX-782, like traditionally, the 3.0 is the better way to go. So there are some work in progress photos in here as well for different builds, not for that one, but this one is of the 1.5. The 1.5, not a design that I've ever really thought about too much, not one that I ever really thought I ever wanted to get, but looking at it here, I mean, this is obviously a custom built one, so there's, I'm sure, been different modifications to it aside from just the painting here, but it does look pretty good. I gotta say, I might have to look into getting a 1.5 MG of the RX-782 at some point. It does actually look pretty nice. It's got like some of the features of the Verka, again, and that may be customization going into this kit. Again, I'm not familiar enough with the base kit to know what's custom about this and what's not, but it looks like he's got one that's built up, like built and painted as the original kit, like the base kit. Yeah, okay, so that's the base kit just built and painted up without any modification, and then this one has some modification, although it doesn't look like a whole lot, and then obviously the color's a little bit different, but like you got rid of this panel line section there on the front. The panel line wrapping on the front here he left but changed a little bit, so some small modifications to like the panel lining and stuff, but it looks like proportionally not that much different between these. So here's with the original kit and the customized version for the backpack, the bust, the midsection. So he made the midsection, like the panel line that goes around the forearm there, made it a little bit more to like the HD Revive version, I believe is closer to this design compared to the original. Yeah, the original panel line design on the original kit, not that nice. I think he definitely made some improvements in this new kind of updated version here. But there you go, there's a comparison, the original and the custom version. The custom one looks very nice. So this is a really great reference material. If you had the 1.5 or wanted to get one and wanted to do some custom work on it, you can kind of borrow some ideas from what he's done with that one, because it doesn't look like there's a whole lot done as far as like changing proportions or anything, mostly just changing the panel line designs and the color, of course. So interesting. Here's another 1.5. This one, he added more panel lines to it, which just gives it a different look, kind of in the opposite way. The other one, he got rid of a lot of the panel lines and just kind of toned those down quite a bit, and this one, he kind of amplified them a little bit in a way. Very interesting design of the panel line work that he's done on this one. And I keep saying he because I'm just going to assume it's all male modelers. It usually tends to be, especially in Japan, but I don't know. If it is a she, I'm sorry, and you guys can correct me again, but I believe probably all these works in here are all done by men. Anyway, here's the 2.0. I do really love the design of the 2.0 MG. I think probably the 1.0 and the 1.5 are the only ones that I don't really care so much for the design of them, but this book does have me rethinking my thoughts about the 1.5, I will admit. The 2.0 though, I know for sure is very nice. So here's the 3.0. Definitely very recognizable by the design of that. Once again, like the original kit, just built up with completely unpainted, and then the custom painted one. So really nice just paint work on these. I think we'll get into some more kind of custom stuff here in a bit, but for the most part it just seems like mostly just repaints going on in here so far. Here's the origin version. The Efsf prototype mobile suit. So yeah, once again, the base kit, or the original kit, unpainted kit, and then the painted one. So he definitely changed that cream off-white to just a more pure white color. There's some modifications here, some work in progress images on some parts of the kit over here, extending the shield, or cut down the shield, I should say, not extended it, cut it down so that it's even all the way around instead of having the longer white bit there at the bottom, if you guys can see that. And again, hopefully you guys can see everything okay. I'm trying to adjust the camera in a way that you guys should hopefully be able to see everything pretty well. Here we have a Verka, one of the candidates I would put at the top of my list for needing a 2.0 kit. I know people, say they've had enough of the RX-782. There's already so many versions of the RX-782, but I would love a 2.0 RX-782 Verka. That would be amazing because it's an awesome design, such an awesome version of the RX-782. It's just the fact that the Verka is pretty old as a master grade. So it could use a new updated version just to have some nicer technology going on under the hood as well. But this version here of the Revive Gundam has some very interesting modifications to it. Just some little details added, these like green lights on the chest, red light bits here on the top of the shoulder. So some added panel lines scribed onto this. So it kind of made the Revive HG kit look much more like a master grade in terms of the detail and stuff there. So very nice looking HG. The HG G30th version, which I'm sure we'll see it in here at some point, but as far as like a really nicely designed and like detailed version of the HG RX-782 Gundam, I think the G30th is probably the best one still, in my opinion. I just don't know if it's even been in print for a long time. I don't know if it's been officially discontinued from Bandai or not, or just not produced for such a long time. But here's getting into talking about some of the custom work here. So I guess this was Naoki's work. Let's see if we can go back here a little bit. Okay, yeah, so this is Naoki's work here on the Revive Gundam, and this section is tips and tricks. So going over some of the work in progress on the Revive Gundam here from Naoki. So definitely we'll have to come back to this a little bit later, take a closer look at just some of the different things that he's done here on the kit. So it looks like here's a step-by-step process, but again, it's all in Japanese, so I have to get out the translator app on my phone. But a lot of great photos and information in here, and it continues on to the next page for even more different modifications and things made to this. So really great reference material for that. Ooh, here we go. Here's something a little bit more funky. Let's see, this one is also based on the Revive RX-782, but as you can see, it's got this very weird and wild design as far as the color scheme goes. Really does remind me a lot of Sortie Kim's hybrid Gundam color scheme, so I have to imagine it's probably taking at least a little bit of inspiration from that, but it is pretty cool. Quite a lot of complicated masking going on with that to get all the different color segments. There's, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, different tones of purple there, it looks like, at least, and then another kind of light lavender tone going on over there. So very interesting. Chris Pabs will love that one, I'm sure. All right, next up we have what I believe this would be the non-grade, or the first grade, whatever you want to call it. I believe it's technically a non-grade. I don't think it's branded as a first grade, I think is what this one is. It's not the entry grade. I don't believe so, but it looks like this was a build that was featured in the 2001 edition of Model Graphics, 2001 August edition. So really interesting, very basic in terms of like the details. Doesn't have a whole lot of detail on there, just a little bit here and there. One thing that it does have that I find interesting about this and some versions of the RX-72 is that it has the inner frame as white, as being white, or kind of an off-white. So it's always something I've wanted to try out, doing that kind of off-white color for the frame on RX-72. It looks very cool. Here we have the RG one that a lot of people would love a 2.0 of this kit as well. Me, not necessarily. I've built a couple of RG RX-72s a long time ago, so I don't know, maybe I need to build another one to kind of refresh my memory of how good or bad it is. But as far as I can remember, not that bad a kit. But I do know a lot of people do complain about it, so I don't know, maybe it does. So there's a little bit about the RG. Not too much focus on that apparently, and then we're moving on to the Revive gun cannon, another kit that was very good. And we got a custom made, detailed up version of that. It's a great kit without any custom work, but of course with all the custom work here done on this, it's looking even better. Really interesting work done to extend the front skirts. Kind of hard to see. You can see the work in progress photo right here. The front skirts are extended down underneath there. That's cool. So some nice work done on that. We have the full armor Gundam, classic. Such a cool design, and this one is based on the Verka, so I believe this is a resin kit. I don't know if this is using the resin kit or... This is by Ken16W. I believe this is all actually custom built. There is a resin kit that looks similar to this, although this one I don't think is that. I could be wrong, you guys can let me know down in the comment section, but just looking at the work in progress photos, I'm trying to see if I can see any work in progress photos that will be more clear as to what this is, but no, that looks like that's about it. So there is some work in progress pictures, like this little one right here, and on the head, extending the head a little bit, but here's how the Gundam looks, the Verka, without the full armor on there. So this is not like the full armor like the Master Grade full armor Gundam. It's a little bit different kind of version, a little bit different take on the design. I really like this version. I do really like the actual Master Grade version of that as well. This one's cool though too, I have to say. Very cool. That looks awesome. Really love just how sharp all the angles and everything is on that, and then the colors and everything too, but that looks fantastic. Really nice. And then even with all the armor off, just if it was just that, without any of the extra armor on there, just the RX-72, just the Verka built up like that would be enough, and that looks amazing. But here we have another full armor. So this would be the more traditional full armor, but this one is based off of the 160, I'm gonna guess. Where is it? 100, so the 100 scale version of the RX-78 to a full armor RX-78-1, FA-78-1 should say is the correct number for that. But anyway, the old 80s kit of the 100 scale full armor Gundam. Always cool to see some really nice modeling work done on an old 80s kit. So there it is without the armor, or there's another version of that without all the armor. That looks cool. It looks so like naked, doesn't it? Without just any color there or anything like details or anything there on the arms and legs. It looks like it's just there in his underwear or something. It's kind of funny, but really cool. Again, really nice, just very little bit subtle weathering on that. Just really nice sharp paint job. Looks cool. Speaking of sharp paint jobs, here's another one. This one, let's see. This one is the MG from Bandai. So this is just the regular full armor MG. Very difficult kit to find at times. It's not reprinted very often, and when it is, people just buy them up like crazy. So you often see them being scalped or resold for very high prices. But it's an awesome design, so understandable. And this is a really interesting paint scheme on it. They're really bright green colors and the cool like decal patterns going on like the leg, and then on the shield, on the core fighter here as well. That's pretty interesting down there in the corner. Yeah, on the shield, that decal work should say, detail work too. But that all looks cool. Here's another one. This one, if I'm reading it correctly, is a bit of a mishmash, a combination of the original HGUC RX-78-2 Gundam, the first grade or non-grade 1/44 scale, the 1/44 scale 80s kit of the Full Armor Gundam, the HGUC Gym, the weapons set, which was another 80s kit, and also the SD G Generations, looks like XS Gundam there. So I don't know how much, probably not a whole lot of that is used, maybe for just some of the parts of the weapons or something. Looks like, yeah, probably some of those little bits. So probably not a whole lot of each of those kits used in this, but you know, a little bit of each of those kits all used to kind of put this together. So here's an unpainted version of that. You can see how that looks completely unpainted. Pretty awesome. And it ends up looking fantastic. So really great kit bashing work done on this to get that finished product. Looks awesome. Okay, next up we got the sea of tricolors here. So 35 years, well now it's 40 years now, but anyway, I guess this is just covering 35 years, strangely enough, of the ARC-782, 1980 to 2015. So starting here, 1980, the original kit had a red V-fin, interestingly enough, 100 scale, then also in 1980 the 1/144 scale, and the 160 scale definitely looks the best in terms of just like details. What you get there, the 1/44 scale head there looks like it's been melted. It looks pretty rough. And in 1981, we got a 1/72 scale, strange, which has a seam line right down the middle of the head. That sucks. 1984, a couple years later, we had a 1:250 scale, and the head looks even more melted. Pretty terrible. 100 scale in 1984 as well. Then it looks like they took a break until 1990, where we had the original HG. It's looking a little bit better, a little more color separation going on there. In the MG 1995, the original MG, it's definitely looking a lot better than all the previous versions. So I can imagine, like, if you're around at that time when, and I mean, like, now looking back, that old 1.0 MG of the ARC-782 is pretty terrible. But like, if you're only used to all this so far, and then you got that, I mean, it would look amazing. So I can understand. We had the PG not too long after that. The Perfect Grade came out in 1998, the original Perfect Grade, and then the first grade was in 1999, so that's the one we'd been talking about earlier. The 1.5 came out in 2000, the HGUC came out in 2001, 2002, we saw the Verka, 2003, the MG, let's see, oh, that's the Perfect Gundam, right? So just the Perfect Gundam typically has, like, you know, a bunch more armor on it, but at its core, it's the ARC-782, and that's how that looks. Recently, last year or the year before, it came out as a separate kit that you could get just like that without all the Perfect Gundam armor on that. We had the 1 Year War version of that come out in 2005. In 2008, we had the MG version 2.0. 2009, the G30th version of the HG, as I mentioned before, really nice one. The RG came out in 2010. MG 3.0 in 2013, the HGUC Revive in 2015, and the Origin version of the MG in 2015. And now since then we've had a couple more come out since that time, but here's a look going through all these now in more detail. So there we just got like the headshots of everything, but here's like a full body shot of just the entire kit, front and back, and then like a detail shot of each of these versions. So really cool to just go through these to see. Oh, the 1/72 scale, the reason why it had a seam line down the middle was because it's the half exposed version where you can take off the armor and it shows like all the inner frame in there. So sort of like a prerequisite to what was later made as like a MG. They had this just fixed pose one here, which had the full inner frame, well, like half the inner frame. So every now and then you see some like really cool builds that people do with these. There's a Zaku version of that as well. So really cool to see these. This 1/250 scale is pretty god-awful looking, but hey, it's very tiny. The HG, the older 1/100 scale kits, the first MG, the PG still looks pretty good considering its age. I think it's, you know, going back to pre-year 2000. Let's see, when was that? 1998? Yeah, it's definitely still looking pretty good, holding up pretty well. 1.5, the Verka, the original HGUC, Perfect Gundam 1 Year War version, 2.0, G30th HG, RG, MG 3.0, and the Revive and the Origin Gundam. Awesome. Now we're getting into Amuro's other mobile suits, other than the ARC-782. Of course, Amuro piloted other mobile suits. Besides that, here is the DJ. This one modeled by Naoki, I believe. Yep, this one's by Naoki. So really awesome work here on the DJ. This would be the RE100 version, not the HG. So the RE100, as you guys may well know, already comes pretty well detailed, but I can just tell looking at this, he changed a lot of the detail on it. So we'll go into this and see. Here's like the original kit compared with his customized build here. So there's a lot of work done on this, even though it looks kind of on the surface like you might just look, oh, okay, it's just nicely painted, but you can tell there's definitely a lot of details and things changed about the design. So here's a few work in progress photos here, and it looks like that's going to be the extent of that. So there's a little bit showing that, but again, you can just kind of compare the pictures of the kits side by side and kind of see where some of the details were changed. But here we have the Rigazi. This would be the HGUC version of that. We luckily now have a nicer version of the MG out. It was like the P Bandai variation of that, but the refined Gundam Zeta here, which, yeah, as an HGUC, this one also looks quite nice, but I can tell there's definitely been a lot of work on this because the original HGUC kit, not that good looking kit, just as is, so definitely took a little bit of work to get it looking this good, I'm sure. Here's the Master Grade Verka new Gundam. This one looks very nice, of course. One of those kits that's kind of hard to mess up, I feel like. It's already so good looking just straight out of the box and just painted up. It's kind of really difficult to have a Master Grade new Verka painted up nicely. That's not gonna look good, but there you go. It looks great. And really interesting work here. One thing that just jumped out at me was this kind of vent work, custom vent covers made like there for the shoulders. Those look pretty interesting. And we have a bunch, I was gonna say some, but more than some, a lot of work in progress images on that, just custom modifications done on that kit. So yeah, I don't want to downplay it, saying that it was probably sounding like, it's looks alright, it doesn't look like anything special, you just build it and paint it up and it's gonna look that good. Know that this one featured in this magazine definitely is looking better, you know, just because of all the work that's gone into it. You can tell, but I was just making a point, not necessarily about this one, that it is a really good looking kit, just built and painted straight out of the box. Same thing with this one, the Hainu Verka as well. This one looks really nice. Really love this massive gray detail added there on the shield. Kind of a small thing, but it really sticks out to you. You know, some more images of that. Love the look of that kit, man. And some work in progress photos on that too. That's nice to see. So again, comparisons with the original kit and the painted one. Really nice detail added up inside the end of the funnel racks there. That's pretty cool. And the heavy weapon system version of that as well. So this, again, just using the Bandai, Premium Bandai heavy weapon system set there for the MG. So the second form of that, yes, very cool. I love how like the white on the heavy weapon system is more of like a light gray, like a warm gray, different from the white that's used on the mobile suit. So that's how it usually looks, but not always necessarily. It looks really nice on this one though. Here we got a bit of a throwback to the original Hainu MG, which you don't see all that often anymore now that the Verka's out, but the Hainu here, which this one, he's changed the colors to be back in like the same color scheme as the original new Gundam, but it's the Hainu model kit. So it's a kind of interesting mix of the colors and design. It looks more like just the regular new Gundam, just with the funnel racks on the back of the Hainu. Kind of interesting with the backpack of the Hainu. So kind of interesting combination of looks there for that. Something that seems like that seems like something pretty easy to figure out. Like you would see that, you know, pretty commonly, but I can't think of actually seeing that very often. If I've seen it before ever. I'm sure I have, but then we have another one here as we're getting right to the end. Seems like this is probably going to be our last build of this book. Is once again another new Gundam with the heavy weapon system set. So with the double fin funnels here as well. So kind of the ultimate form for Amuro's mobile suit here. That one looks very cool. It looks like the panel lining, most if not all of the panel lining is done in like a kind of purplish tone for the panel lining, which again, very subtle, but when you look at the detail images, you can tell, and it looks really nice. Like a purplish gray color used for the panel lining. Interesting. We got some more work in progress photos over here. Also love the tubing bits added onto the backpack. That looks really cool as well. I think that's gonna wrap it up. So a little bit here at the back, once again, just about some different Gundam Archive books available. But that's it for this book. Awesome book if you're a fan of the Arc 72 especially, 'cause that's what the majority of this book is, but it's a really great mix of just showcasing a lot of wonderful builds, but then there's some really nice tips in there, just kind of work in progress images that can be very useful for just getting some ideas how to modify not necessarily these kits, but you can take some things that you learn from a book like this and apply those ideas onto different kits as well, which is really useful, which is one thing why I really love checking out books like this, and hopefully you guys do too. That's gonna be it for this video, guys. We got I have a stack of books over there waiting to be reviewed with you guys, so I haven't done one of these type videos for quite a while, but I have had the books piling up, so I will be getting back to doing some more book reviews here for you guys, or Mook reviews. So hopefully you guys like these. If you want to let me know, do you like to see these or not, you can let me know down in the comment section below, but I'm probably going to keep doing them anyway, so hopefully you guys like them. That's going to be it for this video, guys. Again, if you want to check out some kits, you can check out USA Gundam Store. The link will be down in the video description below. As always, check out some different Gundam model kits available, and paints and tools and supplies and everything else there is available for you guys. Thank you all so much for checking out the video today. If you'd like to like, comment, or subscribe, that would all be greatly appreciated. Until next time, hopefully you're all having a great day. I'll see y'all later. Bye, guys.